Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues Black Table Talk Edition. I am your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and your attention today. We are not going to be long. Yesterday was Malcolm X Day. He would have been 100. And I was thinking about lessons that I learned, lessons that he taught me. And I put out a reel on yesterday about the 19 lessons I wanted to share. Obviously, I learned more than that, but um, 19 lessons that he taught me. So I'm going to go grab my notepad because I thought I had it in front of me. I'm going to grab my notepad and share those with you today. I know that we've gotten into the habit of just writing things online, writing our thoughts online, but I do encourage people to use a journal, use a notebook, use a tablet, and also the things that you've said that have been important. Go back and copy some of those, paste some of them into a Word document, paste some of them into your email them to yourself, because we don't know where these platforms are going. We really don't know. We already know that they are deleting the archives of videos from the past, what, 15 years, 10 years? So be thinking about that. Those of you who are doing live streams, make sure that you have other places that you are archiving your work, archiving your live streams, especially as you're covering important topics so that you have an archive for yourself. Get yourself a portable drive. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Get yourself a portable drive and make sure that you are downloading your writings. Make sure you're downloading your thoughts in your videos so that you have your own permanent record. All right. As I said, I'm going to read what Malcolm X taught me. Just some thoughts here. And as we do that, we are broadcasting live via Facebook as well as YouTube. Our talk back today is going to be held on Facebook. So be thinking about that. And let's see. I'm going to make sure that I put this on subscribers only, as I will not be able to really monitor over there. All right. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. Now, you would think with 140,000 followers on Facebook that more than one person would be alerted that I am live. But that's how Facebook algorithms work, which is why we're also on YouTube. So let's talk about what Malcolm has taught me, some things I learned from the life of Malcolm, things that I've learned from reading some of his works, from interviews that he's done, from watching documentaries and things of that nature. And then I want to read you two poems um, that were written for Malcolm X out of the poetry book. It's entitled African American Poetry 250 Years of Struggling and Song, written, edited by Kevin Young, who used to be the former director of the museum. So, what has Malcolm taught me? And feel free to drop in the comments something that Malcolm has taught you if you're on Facebook. Number one, he taught me the importance of self-determination. One thing that we could look at in the life of Malcolm X is that he had self-determination. He was not just content with living life in his former state, but his willingness, his self determination to better himself, to teach himself, to learn, to read on his own, to study. um, is still impacting the world today. Number two, political power. I would say probably between Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, all three of them taught us and showed us the importance of political power. Um, Even to this day, people are still trying to downplay political power. They're trying to make you think that your voice is not important or significant. They're trying to make you think that there's no value in voting. But we are seeing in real time what happens when people disengage from the political process. We're seeing in real time um, our nation being held hostage to people who exercise their political power. So, yeah, political power. Number three, seeing the world. He got a greater perspective of humanity and humankind when he left the United States. And so I encourage people, if you have never been outside of the United States, and of course at this point in time, depending on your um, citizenship status, it may be dangerous for you to go outside of the United States right now. But I do encourage people to see the world, get out from just your local environment, travel, go to another state, go to another city, see something that you haven't seen before. It will change your perspective. Number four, don't trust either side of the political aisle. And I know people are frustrated. I know people are tired with what they have seen, especially with the Democratic Party sort of sitting on their laurels, even when they are in power, even when they do have the majority. They don't push as consistently and as far as they could. Whereas when Republicans get in office, they push beyond what they're supposed to do. But one thing we could see from his life is to not trust either side of the political aisle. I forget the writer who said it, but they talked about how when it comes to war, when it comes to political affairs, you have no permanent friends, you have permanent interests. And so find the avenues and find the people and find the ways um, of collaborating with people who are for your best interests. Number five, own your mistakes. Own your mistakes. He was willing to admit when he was wrong about something. He was willing to admit when he had a wrong impression of someone. He was willing to admit when um, the people that he looked up to were not all that they said they were. He didn't, and that's one thing I admired about just his life is that he wasn't just like, oh, I see this is happening. I see this abuse happening. Um, I see this mistreatment of women and how women are being treated happening. And I'm just going to brush it under the rug or I'm not going to say anything about it. Right now, we have so many people who are sitting under leaders that are um, doing things they shouldn't be doing, whether that be financial, whether that be emotional, whether that be sexual. There are people who just sit under that leadership and they turn a blind eye or they don't say anything. And that's not just spiritual, but that is also natural leadership. And so I appreciate the fact that he was willing to say, this isn't right. I'm going to speak out about it. And I'm not going to continue to align myself with something that's not right. Number six, keep learning. Keep learning. What is a part of the legacy that Malcolm X left with us was to keep learning. Don't stop growing. Don't just think that you um, know all there is to know. And that's one thing, again, that we try to encourage on this page. I don't know it all. I don't pretend to know it all. I am always calling for people, hey, if you have information that pertains to the subject, if you have information or if you're an expert in the field of whatever subject we might be talking about and you want to lend your insight, We are all for that here. Number seven, transcend your birth. Malcolm had a very, very tumultuous childhood, not of his own doing. He could have just stopped there. He could have just said, because my childhood was rough, because of what happened to my father, because of what happened to my mother, I'm just going to go and um, waste my life, essentially. And he could have blamed that all on his upbringing. He could have blamed that on his childhood trauma, but he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And so, again, one thing that inspired me about his life is that he was able to, from self determination, from a desire to learn and grow, from a desire of self knowledge, not just external knowledge, but knowledge of self, he was able to transcend his birth. Number eight, speaking up for the abused. And I sort of talked about that earlier. He wasn't about allowing people or seeing people abused and not saying anything about it and not doing anything about it. And I think it's interesting because as much as I see um, black men say that they respect Malcolm, that they look up to Malcolm, I'm like, are you looking at the rest of Malcolm's example? Because Malcolm was not for women being abused, manipulated, coerced, mistreated, none of that. So go back and look at those aspects of his life and how he responded to people mistreating women. If you say that, he's one of your heroes, he's one of your icons, but I see you sort of taking this lackadaisical response to the abuses that you see happening, I question that. Which goes into number nine. He called leaders to account. He called leaders to account. Um, a lot of us can feel conflicted when we have to call someone to account that has been leading us or that has been guiding us, but sometimes it's necessary. Now, does that mean all the time that that leader is going to hear you? They might hear you if they're humble enough, right? If they are open to correction, but sometimes they may not be. So you still have to make a choice or a decision. Am I going to stay under this leadership? Am I going to stay under what I see is happening that's faulty, that's unrighteous, that's corrupt? Or am I going to speak out and confront it? Number 10, you can change your perspective. I think one of the most important things about Malcolm's perspective changing was his ability to change his perspective on humanity, to not just see um, the white man as the devil, um, but again, leaving outside of the United States, he got a broader understanding of humanity. He got a broader understanding of his faith. So you can change your perspective. Not everyone is Remick. Far too many are, but not everyone is Remick. All right. And if you have watched Sinners, you know what I'm referring to. Number 11, let your faith be in your creator. Let your faith be in your creator. People are going to let you down. It is inevitable that people will let you down. Why? Because they are human. Humans have several factory settings. One is possible disappointment. Two is um, an overarching view of humanity that paints everybody as good. The majority of us want to see and want to believe that there is good in everyone. But sometimes people disappoint us. Sometimes people let us down. All right? But your faith should be in your creator. Your faith should be in yourself and your abilities. That's where your faith should be. Now, some people don't believe in the creator. They don't believe that they were created. Um, I'm not sure how that works, but let your faith be in yourself. But don't put all of your faith in someone um, who is just as flawed or possible or has the possibility of being flawed as you are. There's not one of us who has not ever made some kind of mistake in our life. And we will be honest. No one can go around and say, I have never made a mistake. Unless you are a newborn baby just freshly into the world. All right? Most of us have made several mistakes. We've let people down. We've not always been the person that we wanted to be. But faith in our creator, faith in ourselves has continued to carry us through and push us forward. Number 12, do it afraid. Do it afraid. There were times when Malcolm was afraid. There were times when he was concerned about what could possibly happen to him, but he did not let it grip him into and paralyze him into inaction. I think that's a lesson that all of us could use today to do it afraid. A lot of people right now are in a place of unsurety with hundreds of thousands of people being laid off. It is in the hundreds of thousands at this point. People not sure, people being kept in limbo, people being sent on administrative leave, all of these different things. And there is, as we know, there's a spike in people's anxiety. There's a spike in people's stress. There's a spike in people's fear of the unknown. What's going to happen? What's going to happen later in this year? What's going to happen when, I stop getting the severance pay? What next? So it's natural to have some fear. But in order to move forward, sometimes you have to do it afraid. Sometimes you have to apply for it afraid. Sometimes you have to move out afraid. Sometimes you have to leave afraid, but do it afraid. 13, consider your mortality. Now, because of the nature of what Malcolm was engaging in, that political activism, um, and spreading his message of what he felt the Creator was telling him to say, he and others, like Martin Luther King, had what some people might say, a preoccupation with their mortality. Um, but again, if you're getting bomb threats and death threats, and people are talking about what they want to do to your family or harm your family, considering your mortality for them was a reasonable thing. To consider that, hey, I might leave my home today and might not make it back. Now, most of us are not under that kind of pressure or stress yet, um, but considering your mortality is a good thing. Thinking about what kind of legacy you want to leave, who do you want to leave that legacy to, what are you building right now that's going to last beyond you, who are you speaking into, educating, empowering, teaching, imparting to, that's going to carry your belief, carry your values way beyond yourself. So consider your mortality. Number 14, take the pilgrimage. Think about it. Where do you want to go before your time is up in this life? Where and what are you interested in? Take the pilgrimage. Excuse me one moment. 15, your enemies are often not near, are not far, excuse me. Your enemies are often not far, but near. I think if there were two men that exemplified that and sort of showed us that, would be Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, both of them. Your enemies are often not far, but near. Anytime you have um, some positive movement happening with Black Americans, there is always the chance that someone in the midst of that is looking to undermine it. I just want people to just get that in your head as an assumption. Assume that if something is positive is happening among Black people, among Black Americans, somebody is looking to undermine it. And so, yes, when people say no, they are not invited to the cookout, I need some of us to respect that. When some of us say they are a kind person, they are showing compassion for us in this moment, but they're not invited to the cookout, I need some of us to respect that. I need more of us to respect that. I need more of us to stop inviting people into the cookout space and do what we should be doing, which is called creating what we call a third space. What's a third space in our society? The library, for example, is a third space. It's a space where you and other people can come together in a neutral space that doesn't violate the sacred space and the communal space that should be happening among Black people. Because right now, Black people are rebuilding, they are fortifying their place in this country. They are networking, they are gathering, they are cultural exchanges happening between Black people and the diaspora that don't need to involve other people, just to be honest. And so when I see people insisting that they make their way into those spaces where Black people are trying to fortify themselves, what that tells me is you don't respect the sacredness of what is happening between Black people. That's what that tells me. So when people say, no, they can't come to the cookout, respect that. Respect that. 16, there are causes worth dying for. Martin said it this way. He basically said, I don't want to die tonight. I don't want to die young, in one of his last speeches. He said, I don't want to die young, but if I die, I want you to know that I have seen the mountaintop. I have seen into the future, and I know that we are going to get there. He had a futuristic mindset. I know I may not get there with you, but I can see us in the future. We look better, I'm paraphrasing, we look better than we do right now. Right now, we might be worn and torn and downtrodden and struggling for our rights to barely be acknowledged, but we look better in the future. Now that we're here in the future, we have a responsibility to secure, to further protect, to push back against what we see happening when it comes to erasure. 17, you don't have to be defined by your mistakes. The way that we remember Malcolm is not by the mistakes that he made. We remember him because he was not defined by those mistakes. He was refined by them. He made something of himself and of his life that now proceeds him. 18, it is up to you to make the change. You cannot wait on someone else to bring about change in your life for you. And we see that even with his life, that yes, his faith was in his creator, but he was an active participant in his life change. He didn't stay the same. And 19, leave a legacy that teaches other people. Every day, I will never forget this. One of my elders told me, she said, I know some people think that the teachers are only in the classroom, but every day you have an opportunity to be a teacher. Every day you are teaching people something. Every day your life is teaching something. Every day you're teaching people how to treat you. You're teaching people what you will tolerate. You're teaching people what your values are by your actions. So never think that when you go out into society or when you go out into the world, never think that you're just going out to be going out. Everything you do is teaching something. So think about that today. What is my legacy? What am I teaching people about myself? What am I teaching people about my family? On my Black Table Talk page, I posted last night um, as we were celebrating all of the artwork that's been coming out about this Nottaway plantation burning. All of these people, these recessive people, started flooding into the comment section. Now, mind you, I want you to be very clear that social media does not notify us when people are making hateful remarks. There's no notification saying, oh, this person is violating your community standards. So sometimes those comments sit in our feed for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, sometimes even a day before we see them. So yesterday I spent time cleaning out some of the vile comments that were made, but then some of them where people were trying to obscure using the N word. I went and looked at the pages. And I'm like, again, if you're going to hold those kind of views, you might want to lock your profile. If you're going to spread hate all over the internet, you might want to not make your city available and your job. I mean, just be smarter. But then I know I shouldn't be giving credit to them for having smartness. So I put up some of that to let people know that yes, this is still a problem in our country. We still have people who think that it's okay to use the N word. We still have people that think it's okay to attack people online, disparage people online. And I said to myself, man, their families must be miserable. It must be miserable having this kind of person inside your family and connected to you because it's embarrassing. Like, move into the 21st century here. But nevertheless, here we are. So ask yourself, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? I'm going to leave you with these two poems before we get into our conversation today. This one is called Malcolm X. And again, the poetry book I'm reading from is African American Poetry 250 Years of Struggling in Song. What I just shared with you are my personal words. Malcolm X for Dudley Randall. Original, ragged sound, rich, robust. He had the hawk man's eyes. We gasped. We saw the maleness raking out and making guttural the air and pushing us to walls. And in a soft and fundamental hour, a sorcery devout and vertical beguiled the world. He opened us, who was a key, who was a man. Pretty powerful. This one is by Larry Neal, Malcolm X, an autobiography. And this is a pretty long poem. This was written in the spring of 1967. Malcolm X, an autobiography. I am the seventh son of the sun, who was also the seventh. I have drunk deep of the waters of my ancestors, have traveled the soul's journey toward cosmic harmony, the seventh son, have walked slick avenues and seen grown men fall to die in a blue doom of death and ancestral agony, have seen old men glide shadowless, feet barely touching the pavements. I sprang out of the Midwestern plains, the bleak Michigan landscape, the black blues of Kansas City, these kiss me nights, Out of the bleak Michigan landscape wearing the slave name Malcolm Little. Saw a brief vision in Lansing when I was 7, and in my mama's womb heard the beast cry death. A landscape on which white robed figures ride, and my Garvey father silhouetted against the night fire, gun in hand, form outlined against a panorama of violence. Out of the Midwestern bleakness I sprang, pushed eastward, put past shack on a country Negro shack across the wilderness of North America. I hustler, I pimp, I unfulfilled black man, bursting with destiny. New York City Slim called me Big Red, and there was no escape. Closed nights of the smell of death. Pimp, hustler, the day fills these rooms. I'm talking about New York, Harlem, talking about the neon madness, talking about ghetto eyes and nights, talking about death protruding across the room, talking about Small's Paradise, talking about cigarette butts in rooms smelly with white sex flesh and dank sheets and being on the run, talking about cocaine illusions, talking about stealing and selling, talking about these New York cops who smell of blood and money. I am Big Red, Tiger, vicious, Big Red, bad Negro, will kill. But there is rhythm here, its own special substance. I hear Billy sing, No Good Man, and dig Prez, wearing the zoot suit of life, the pork pie hat tilted at the correct angle. Through the Harlem smoke of beer and whiskey, I understand the mystery of the signifying monkey. In a blue haze of inspiration, I reach for the totality of being. I am at the center of a swirl of events, war and death, rhythm, hot women. I think life a commodity bargained across the bar in smalls. I perceive the echoes of bird, and there's a gnawing the maw of my emotions. And then there is jail. America is the world's greatest jailer, and we are all in jails, holy spirits contained like magnificent birds of wonder. I now understand my father urged on by the ghost of Garvey, and see a small brown man standing in a corner. The cell, cold, dank. The light around him vibrates. Am I crazy? But to understand is to submit to a more perfect will, a more perfect order. To understand is to surrender the imperfect self for a more perfect self. Allah form man, I follow, and shake within the very depth of my most interesting being. And I bear witness to the message of Allah, and I bear witness all praise is due Allah. Written by Larry Neal in tribute to Malcolm X, an autobiography. All right. I want to thank you for your time and attention. If you've been watching by YouTube, we are going to be doing our talk back over on our Facebook page, Black Table Talk. So feel free to join us there for the second part of today's message. All right. If not, I will hopefully see you on tomorrow. Thank you for your time and attention. We will be back over here on YouTube tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be well, and most importantly, be light. Yes, I too am a